Congressman, you've become a friend of the show. Thanks for your time once again this morning. You're in the middle of all of this. And I also might add, you were one of the 8 Republicans who originally voted to oust Kevin McCarthy. Jim Jordan, of course, now pushing for his 3rd round of voting in the race for the gavel. You've been backing Jordan. Does that still remain the case at this hour?
Yes, ma'am. Until Jim decides to withdraw, he is the conference's nominee. And again, we followed all the rules. Oddly enough, those are the same rules that Kevin McCarthy voted for, that we went down that path. So, and everybody always says, do you have any regrets? And I said, no, I don't. I did it for the right reasons. And I think the country will be well served for it. This will be people have I always say people want their pizzas in 30 minutes or less, and that's about our attention span. And I'm very guilty of that. I'm number 1 on that list. So I think this will be a distant memory in just a short amount of time.
I know you just said you don't regret your original vote to oust Kevin McCarthy, but is there an acknowledgement that timing wasn't great? I mean, right after that happened, the war in Israel broke out. Do you wish that had been delayed for a bit and we weren't in this spot and predicament that we're in right now, considering the times?
Well, of course, I wish the war in Israel wasn't going on, but no, we give Israel $3.6 billion a year, basically on an auto check method. We've sent, I believe now we're up to 12 ships that are in the Mediterranean, the largest aircraft carrier in the world. I believe the Gerald R. Ford, the best fighting men in the world and women are over there. I hope they're not going to get in harm's way. But, and this White House has sent billions of dollars to Ukraine without congressional consent. So, and now they haven't even brought this thing out to us yet. The Senate hasn't seen it. We haven't seen it. So it wouldn't even be taken up until Monday anyway. So we've got the full weekend to work on it. And, it's never a good time for this kind of thing. And if I had a time machine, I'd go back to 1962. I'd buy me a Ferrari GTO and I'd stuff a glove box with Fantastic Four comic book #1. And then I'd park it in a barn somewhere. So, no, I have regrets and I can't see the future, but that's the world we live in.
Well, that's too good. Yeah, take me back with you with that purchase. Let's go back. Speaking of going back, though.
I'm afraid if I did, my wife would leave me for a young Elvis. She likes that Las Vegas Elvis. So.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. I hope she's watching right now. Hey, speaking of going back in time, let's go back to yesterday. It is interesting that Jim Jordan started the day proposing to actually just hit pause on his candidacy for a moment and support that plan from centrist lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to give interim Speaker Patrick McHenry the power to conduct legislative business. Would you support that effort to empower the interim speaker, to carry on duties temporarily down the line if we don't see Jordan get the votes that he's needing and reach that magic 217?
No, ma'am. I think that it's constitutionally suspect. Also, I don't like bow ties, but I really like Patrick McHenry, who wears a bow tie. But he even said that should not be done because of the situation. It's just kicking the can down the road. It's just like these continued resolutions that we push off for 45 days. Well, the 42nd day we start working on. There you go. You see him in one of his bow ties right there.
Yep.
Every time I wear a bow tie, it's always a clip on, and that's just in a rare tux moment.
And that's good enough for you. Yep.
Yeah. My wife's texting me right now saying, "Shut up, honey. Get back to the issues."
Oh, my gosh. Well, let me get one more with you while I still have you, sir. Tensions among House Republicans reportedly exploding. I mean, we've talked about these tense meetings for weeks now. Since we couldn't be flies on the wall yesterday, what was discussed yesterday, and how tense and fiery did things get?
Tensions are always hot, ma'am, and you're there with a bunch of alpha females and alpha males. I mean, you wouldn't got to where you were if you didn't step on a few toes, and that's just what happens. And we all came together, sang a little kumbaya, and hugged each other around the campfire before we left. So I think we're going to be okay. It's just human nature, ma'am, and that's what happens. You get in a room, you're locked in there, it's out of the norm, and you're wanting to see something happen, and unfortunately, it's not happening as fast as a lot of us would like to see it happen.
Yeah, or Americans for that matter. I think a lot of Americans are tired of this. They want to see a bow put on it. Does he get the votes he needs today? And if not, your prediction of how long this lasts? and continues.
I have no earthly idea. I'm not going to make any more predictions, ma'am.
Understood.
I wouldn't tell you how to invest your stock portfolio either. Although my $6,000 mutual fund that I've strategically invested through my stockbroker is not doing so well.
Not doing so well, dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
Hey, dadgummit, I hate to hear it for you. Well, thank you for a little levity despite the tense times. We'll check back in and see what today has in store. Congressman Tim Burchett, always good to see you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.